Hello, Upper St. Clair families, and welcome back for the 2017-2018 school year. This presentation and video recording of it is going to be related to the Upper St. Clair's one-to-one learning initiative and some new updates and some general information about what to expect. The areas of focus for this video include why one-to-one learning, what is the point of it, our filters, some strategies that are suggested for parental support and monitoring, a little bit of information about our insurance protection plan agreement, and then finally some next steps. So to start off, let's talk about why. When we look at the world around us, technology and devices really are just about everywhere. And the reality is that for businesses, if companies haven't yet figured out how to use technology to enhance the effectiveness or efficiency of their operations, they probably aren't in business any longer because they've been passed up. And from a personal perspective, most people have found ways to use technology, whether it be a smartphone, smartwatch, or smart something else. Most people have figured out ways to use technology to help them in their lives, even if it's simple as communicating with family who lives far away. Well, the reality is that the Upper St. Clair School District fits into that category of a business or even individuals who have found ways to leverage technology and use strategies that support learning in really meeting our mission as an organization. And the device that we've been using for the past few years have been iPads. So to be clear, when we talk about this specific initiative, it is not a one-to-one iPad initiative or a one-to-one technology initiative, but it is the one-to-one learning initiative because the goal of bringing technology into our schools is to increase student learning. To be more specific, it's not just about increasing student learning, but helping every child to become the best version of themselves that they're capable of becoming. We recognize that children are unique, and we want to support them in their unique growth and their unique development so that they can become the best version of them that they can be, and not just one widget out of many that are the same. So the reality is with technology and really with education in general, the goal has always been to find the most important content and match it up with the best strategies for teaching it. And content and skills really would be the more appropriate way of saying that. How does technology fit in then? Many people fear that technology is only going to take away from that. But when it comes to the strategies that teachers are trained on in the Upper St. Clair School District and the strategies that are emphasized, it's about those practices that leverage technology to improve what already is happening in classrooms, not to take away from it. So it is not about using technology for technology's sake. And the reality is that if we look at the different strategies that can be used and the way the technology really can enhance any type of work, we have to be honest and recognize that technology up to this point in time is already taking jobs that are out there in the real world, the world that we're preparing children for. And if we don't prepare children with skills that go beyond just what technology can do, like memorizing, then we're not going to set them up for success in the future, but instead we're going to put them in a position where they will not be able to succeed and get jobs in the future global economy. So to align our work and to help our teachers to develop the necessary strategies, skills, and competencies needed to be able to leverage one-to-one technology, we've focused on 6 specific areas in our framework for one-to-one learning, starting with access to content and improving it. Now, in the past, we've used the Blended Schools Network to host a lot of our content. This year, we're switching to Canvas, and we'll have more on that in a separate video. But the reality is that in the past, there were 2 sources of knowledge, teacher and textbook. In the modern times, that doesn't make sense to most of us at all because if we want to find information, we can use a phone to find just about anything very, very quickly. So really, with one-to-one, it's about leveraging the best content and the best skills and providing children with access to it at all times so they can learn on demand. Second, communication and collaboration. We recognize that the world is interconnected and means that it is not just about what do you know, but how do you communicate, how do you collaborate, because that's the way that businesses are more effective in the modern times. So the idea is from 2 levels. Number one, from a communication standpoint, communicating clearly with teachers and students about expectations, needs, and things along those lines is one level that's extremely important. And oftentimes, a simple email can set up that face-to-face meeting. So it's not just about technology interaction, it's about creating opportunities for face-to-face interaction. And collaboration is enhanced dramatically when able to use collaborative online tools. Think about group work with one sheet to complete. And then think about the possibilities with Google Drive so that all kids can contribute to the same document. Feedback and assessment is extremely important in education. If you look at the most important factors for improving student outcomes, it really relates to how are kids assessed and what type of feedback do you provide for them. So the focus for us in our district, or the foci, are looking at how can we improve the quantity and quality of feedback, and then also provide students with opportunities for assessments that are at a higher level, that are authentic, and that are project and problem based. Next, looking at self-paced and self-directed learning, we recognize the kids are unique not only in terms of their goals and their desires, but also in terms of their learning styles, their rates of acquisition, and their content and their prior prerequisite knowledge. So how can we meet all those kids' needs in one place? Well, technology can definitely enable us to do this more effectively, and that's really where the self-directed and self-paced learning comes in. Next is creativity. And the reality is it's not just creativity in terms of just thinking up random ideas, but it's really creative problem solving. And if you look at what the needs are of the future workplace, it's not going to be memorization. It's not going to be, do you know these facts? It is going to be, how do you problem solve? How do you work in teams and communicate, collaborate? How do you think through difficult problems that don't have a clear answer, and you have to just come up with the best solution, maybe not a perfect solution? Those are the challenges of the work world, and those are the challenges that we want to bring kids face to face with in our classrooms. And having technology present can help kids to be able to do the research needed behind the scenes, to be able to present their findings clearly, and to be able to collaborate more effectively to come up with these solutions. So the reality is that providing kids with a real-world experience in school is really supported by using technology. And the umbrella that all of these fit under is engagement. Engagement isn't just about, is their mind occupied, let's say, in a task? It's about, are they engaged in something meaningful? Are they involved? Are they working towards something meaningful? You could say that a child is engaged and is moving when they're on a rocking horse, but they're not really making any progress. And our goal here is to help kids to make progress by engaging them in learning activities that meet their style, that meet their level, that meet their interests, and that are targeting skills that matter for the future, so that we can help them to become the best version of themselves that they're capable of becoming. That's engagement from the perspective of the Upper St. Clair School District, and that is the goal of the One-to-One Learning Initiative. So a couple quick questions here that we've got past the why now. Let's get to some practical questions that many of you may have. So do kids do everything on the iPad? The answer to this is no. There's a big fear that kids are just going to sit there and stare at a screen or watch a video all day long, and that is definitely not what occurs. The best way to describe this is as follows. So let's say there are 3 assignments in a class, and you have potentially paper or iPads. We could say that for assignment B, it is best learned using paper. The way that teachers have been trained in the way that they are currently using the iPads would mean that if it is best learned on paper, they're going to use paper. For assignment C, it may be best learned on an iPad. And in that case, they're going to use the iPad. And for assignment A, there may be kind of an equal perspective, and it could use both, and that's a place where we would give choice. That's the way the teachers have been trained, and that is the way that you should expect to see them used in a classroom, is wherever an iPad is used best, it should be used. Wherever it is not going to enhance and it's going to take away from the educational experience, it should not be used. So to give some examples of when this wouldn't be equal using paper, there are a lot of types of things with collaborative work, with presentation work, with data collection for teachers to really monitor how their students are learning, for submitting work and keeping track of it. These are a lot of the different times where the iPad really becomes more essential to use in class, and it is enhancing the educational experience and not just providing a substitution of, instead of doing paper, we're going to do an iPad. So it's important to note there are times where that happens, and that's why the iPads will need to be used in certain cases. But the way the teachers have been advised is to try to keep a balance where it fits, right? So if it's something is going to be better off with paper and pencil, keep with it. If something is going to be better off and enhanced with the iPad and it couldn't be done similarly on paper or pencil, then use the iPad and use the technology. That is the training that has gone into this up to this point in time. So in terms of more information, you'll see more on these different apps and how we will be using them, especially Canvas. Canvas is really a big change for us this year, and that's going to shift a lot of the way that we've been doing things in the past. But there are student iPad trainings that will occur and student Canvas trainings that will occur, especially for the new 5th graders. In terms of students who are new to the district, maybe in grades 6 through 10, there will be opportunities to learn this as well through those, or to receive help through our smart desks at our various buildings. And then there will also be information on our website. Next, let's talk about filters. So for filters, as you can imagine, we cannot and we would not, even if we weren't obligated by law, we would not provide access to everything on these iPads because we want to keep them secure. So there are going to be a lot of websites that are blocked. To be clear right off the bat, there are no social media apps that are permitted to be on these devices. The children cannot put them on the devices because of settings that we have on there because they don't have access to the App Store. So if you've ever heard anything about somebody using social media on their iPad, that's not accurate because they cannot even get the apps on there, as well as the fact that they are filtered from the website level and blocked too. So they can't do it from the web. They can't download the apps. That's something they cannot do on their district iPads. Google and YouTube are actually restricted as well, and that's through something called Securely, which is the type of filter, which is the system that we use for filtering these iPads. It is a web-based filter, which means that our filter is in effect on the iPads at all times. So at school, when the children are on the wireless there, it's in effect. At home, the same wireless a different wireless will still have the same filtering through Securely as well. So this means that you could have restricted YouTube videos. It means that it will be restricting what can be searched on an iPad, so certain search terms will not show up, and when they search Google Images, it will show up automatically in Safe Search, and it limits the types of things that will pop up. So the reality is that Securely is a great filter. It's going to help out a lot with this. No search engine is perfect, but Securely does a really, really good job of securing and providing a lot more restrictions on content that is accessible. Now, the main event from many people's in many people's eyes on the iPad are the apps, right? And the reality is the kids cannot download whatever app they would like because they don't have access to the App Store. The way the children are going to download apps is through something called self-service. So this is what the app looks like. And what this is a curated list of apps that children are permitted to view. And these are all vetted by the Upper St. Clair School District. So that's how they can get their apps, and it is not going to be free reign to download whatever they would like. Now, for you on the other side, how do you monitor usage? What are the different strategies that you can use? Well, if you can pick up the iPad itself, you can open up and look at Safari. Safari does have a tab where you can actually go and see the history. So if you can click on that bookmark icon and then come down here to history, you will be able to see what the child has been doing. Now, that being said, there is a clear button that kids can use, or they could go into private browsing, which would make it so that you couldn't see it on the device. So what is it that we can do? Well, on the back side, no matter what a kid accesses, whether it's through a private browser or not, and whether they've cleared their history or not, it will always show up in our dashboard on Securely. Now, the thing that's great about this is the parents are also going to have access to this to be able to see what the kids have been searching, what videos they've been watching, and things along those lines. So this really is a great tool for parents that you will get more info about separately as well. And finally, this year, which is something new that teachers are extremely excited for, is something called Apple Classroom Manager. What Apple Classroom Manager is an app that enables teachers to see all of the kids in their class in all of their iPads at a time. So it will show them what the kids are on. So these kids, it says, are on iBooks, these kids are on Safari, these kids are on Pages. So they can see in a glance what apps are open. Then they can actually click in and they can see screens, or they could click into one individual student to see what is that student looking at right now. They can lock the iPad, they can push them right to a website, or they can lock them into one specific app. So there are a lot of things that are new this year that teachers will be able to do to keep tabs on children using their iPads as well. So we feel extremely confident and comfortable about the direction that we're going with this and how we can monitor kids. So for you, let's talk about some things that you can do to get your children ready to roll here with their iPads and what to expect. So from the Insurance Protection Plan Agreement perspective, this is an agreement that we've been using since we started the One-to-One Learning Initiative a few years ago. And essentially it works like this. Opting in to the program is going to cost you $30, and it will cover the first break. So if a child accidentally breaks it, they will get a replacement for that device. Now, after that, if there's another break, then it is going to cost you another $30 deductible at the time of the fix. So that is the setup that we've been using with this, is a deductible format. Now, it doesn't cover intentional damage, but kids they make mistakes. They have accidents. We know that, and it will help to cover this. And it's really a peace of mind type of thing, especially with these devices now. You're looking at potentially a $200 fix for a broken screen. So paying the $30 up front is a good move and something that we would strongly advise. Or $35. So the website that we have here on the Upper St. Clair School District website. It details this $35 cost. You can pay for it online, and until the children or you as an adult either opt into the program or officially opt out, your child will not be able to receive their device. So if you would, please make sure you take a moment to go to the Upper St. Clair School District website to complete this process. So next steps. What we would suggest is this: establish some house rules once you get the iPad home. The reality is that the kids like devices, and what we've experienced from chatting with teachers and with kids and with families is that most of the kids in our middle school have their own device anyways. And one of the things that we've strongly suggested is to not let the children charge the iPad in their room at night, but instead to charge it in a public location for two reasons. Number one, it's going to give us a greater chance of it being charged because it can be checked at night. And number two, it's also going to keep the kids away from using it late at night when they really just need to be resting and getting to bed. We're saying this about the district's one-to-one iPad, but the reality is the same exact thing applies for personal phones, personal iPads, or whatever other devices. It's just a best practice from that perspective of keeping those devices in a public place, because that's not something the kids need to be taking into their rooms. And some final thoughts here. This program is about growth. It's about the growth of your kids, but it's also a growth in a learning cycle for us as we're implementing technology, and technology is constantly changing. So when you look at the way that this program has evolved over the years, it really has been a long process of us getting to the point in time where we are today, with lots of pilots, lots of learning, and lots of children using this. So when you think about the process here, we've changed a lot of things related to Apple IDs in the App Store to make it a lot easier on kids. From the parent side, we're doing a whole lot here to try to help out for you as well. This securely parent access that we're providing is extremely important. And Canvas is really designed to give parents a much easier place to access their child's work and their child's homework, so that it's a lot easier, especially if you have multiple children in the district. Some restrictions on YouTube are newer, and then Apple Classroom Manager is new as well. So from a restriction standpoint, we've also improved dramatically. But the biggest improvement, and the thing that we're most proud of, is the fact that we've really seen teachers using this in more dynamic ways each year. So we're looking at how teachers can collect data, evaluate and assess, and provide real-world opportunities for learning that are collaborative in nature and really aligned toward the specific goals that we have in our courses. So that's really our area of greatest success. And overall, we hope that it's clear to you that the One-to-One Learning Initiative, it's not about the technology, it's about the learning, and really it's more specifically about customizing learning, nurturing potential, and delivering excellence in a high-quality education that meets the needs of every child. That's our goal, and that's what we're striving to do here. So thank you very much for your support in this process, and please let us know if you have any questions or concerns along the way. Have a great day.